Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to show you how to install diffuser fins on the Audi TT. So with everything laid out, I think the first thing we need to decide is how many fins you're going to put on your diffuser panel. Now, I originally thought the most aesthetic would be 3, with 1 in the center and then another one at the various ends. And I think that looks pretty cool. However, I'll let you guys decide. Ultimately, you can do 11, and I think that's a bit extreme, but that's almost filling all of the potential spots for these. And I've got 6 of these made up, just to give you a sense of what that kind of spacing looks like. A bit extreme, almost looks like we're slicing potatoes, but you know, whatever floats your boat. I think at most maybe 6, with 1 at each most extreme end, and then skipping 1 spot, so that you end up with something like that. I think that looks pretty cool. And but ultimately, for this layout here, I'm going to do simple 3, which is, as most designers know, can't go wrong with the rule of thirds. So that means 1 in the center and then 1 at the most extreme end. You can go 1 over, or sorry, 2 over. That's not too bad either. But you guys decide. And of course, I mean, this is being symmetrical. You can do 4. You could even do some that have the center a little closer together, maybe something like that. I don't know. We'll have to see. You know, Ferrari Pista has have these different widths, but for today's video, we're going to do the center. We're going to find the center, put in some holes, and end up with something like that. Okay, so let's get started. So I've got a fin here, and by the way, these are 3D printed in halves. It's about 4 hours of monitor printing to produce one of these. It's ABS plastic, which is a very durable, tough plastic. It's in black, and there's no paint or clear coat on this, and so they are pre-drilled, and they're ready to go. And you'll find that when you do start to install these have these little bars or tabs which allow this to only sit in possible positions where they're supposed to go and not anywhere else. In fact, it's a real snug fit, so it locates itself with very little wiggle. So you basically have to mark the holes, and I'll show you how to do that. Drill them and install this carefully with there's a bit of a sequence with the screws. We're going to start with the center one and then do the ones on the end. So I'll get to that. So first step in setting this up is putting in our marks. In fact, you want to triple check this and drill once, because you don't want to end up with holes where you don't want them. And I'd hate for you to ruin a panel by moving too fast and making mistakes, and then ending up with holes that you can't fill. And you know, these are pricey panels if you want to replace them. So we're going to do it carefully. We're going to do it once, and we're going to do it right. And so you can do this in a number of ways. The best way is to simply count how many of these there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this one is the center. Now you can mark that with a pencil very lightly. This will erase later if you need to. Here's our center. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can always put on a little piece of tape and mark it that way. No big deal. In fact, that's not a bad idea, just to actually make the center mark nice and bright. So we're going to drill holes in this column, and they're going to line up with those 3 holes, and we're going to do holes in this column. So I chose to go the most extreme end here. Now the logic there is around here you pretty much have one hex shape, and they're not even all that full really, so it makes sense to continue that logic and have this guy sit right here so that these ones here continue the same pattern, if you will. I mean, you could ultimately go there. I felt that was a bit much, and these were getting quite small, so we're going to go with this today. And so we're going to mark the holes. I'll show you how to do that. So the way we're doing this is just got a straight edge steel ruler and a pencil, and no real need to get down inside the well. You could really eyeball it from where you need it. Let's just make sure this is nice and steady. So here we are at the center. We're going to mark the first one, which is in the second well. So we're going to hold that, position our pencil, and make a mark there. And then we had said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're in here, and we just want to mark the center there. And then the last one, I've done it, but essentially, so the best way to do the last one is a bit tricky because this hex well is a bit large and you can't really see where the center is, but it doesn't matter. I'll show you why, because we're going to do a generous hole for this, so there's some wiggle room. But basically I went in the center of this area here and held my straight edge there and close enough. So there are horizontal markings, and the center, depending on how good you are with this, you can measure it and you can make a tick mark. You could probably even eyeball it. Again, the fin is keyed, so it will only sit where you need it to, but I'm going to try and just eyeball this and mark my center vertically. So I've got these plus marks now, right? And ideally those should line up visually. I think we're pretty good to go. So here's what these look like. 1, 2, 3. Second from the top, number 5, last one on the bottom. Okay, so I've got 2 drill bits ready to go. I've got a 1/8 diameter, which I'm going to use as a pilot hole. I advise making a pilot hole just because you have a little more control over finding the center of this and lining it up with our tick mark. And then we're going to go second with a 3/16 bit, and that'll finish off the hole. So very carefully following our mark, give a little tap. Second hole, line that up. And our last hole. .3/16. One, two, 3. So next we're ready to install one of these, and I'll do the first center one and see how that goes. So we just put that over that. Get 3 screws ready. By the way, these are black, pretty cool little screws. They have a built-in compression washer, and they're the perfect length, the perfect grab. And what I suggest is starting with the center one first. So we're gonna hold our finger to one bracket, keep it in position as we get the screw ready. And like I said, we're going to start with a screw in the center of the bracket. And I recommend using a hand screwdriver and not a power drill, just so that we don't get carried away and over torque this screw and potentially crack this panel, which is a pretty strong polycarbonate panel, I think. But you know, the bracket is only so strong, there's no real need, so just take your time, a bit of patience, and we could actually get this quite snug and have a quick look. Just as a visual check, everything is good. Like I said, there's hardly any wiggle here, but for the most part, the bottom will meet the bottom line and the top is just shy of it, so there's some good wiggle room. So that looks pretty good. We're gonna put in the other 2 screws and tighten them down.